Hey guys, welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles! In the last episode, we established, at least kind of, where the murder actually took place, and now, sorry, I live near a fire station, you might hear that in the background. Nevertheless, we are back to a summation examination, and now we are about to hear the jurors' contentions, so let's go.
Once a rogue, always a rogue, I say. Huh? Different breed to us law-abiding citizens.
As only 2 bullets were found at the scene, I would say the whole case is done and dusted.
You don't need a stereoscope to see the truth here. Every which way you look at it, it was that pickpocket.
I never imagined that simple operation would cause me such grief.
The accused attempted the theft on the previous day. I can see I'm in for a busy day ahead.
I am ballistics expert. I have seen many shootings. There is nothing I do not know about guns.
It would seem there is little remaining room for doubt.
I have to admit, I was rather bowled over by the argument put forward by the chap in black. But when that fell apart like a house of cards, I saw that I'd jolly well been hoodwinked. Well, no more!
The whole courtroom is turning against me. It's not fair, Iris. That prosecutor's being mean. Just because Ginny's done something she shouldn't have done in the past, that doesn't make her a murderer. Allow me to savor this fruity vintage while I savor the spectacle of your fruitless debate on the matter. Here's to the truth coming out, eventually. That's enough preamble. Counsel, proceed with the summation examination. Yes, my lord. Jury examination. Alright, the defense's rebuttal.
Once a rogue, always a rogue, I say. Different breed to us law-abiding citizens.
Let's press him. Just because Miss Lestrade has a history of pickpocketing, she must be guilty of murder, is that what you're saying?
Oh, well...
Are all members of the British Army so quick to judge?
I beg your pardon? Are you mocking Her Majesty's Armed Forces, the greatest military organization in the world?
No, I'm simply illustrating my point. Making assumptions about people because they're a soldier or a pickpocket is wrong and dangerous.
Well, yes, might have a point there, I suppose. But let's not forget the girl had already shown that she had it in her from before. She's clearly a criminal assault through and through. Can't deny it.
When you say that she'd shown her she had it in her, are you referring to this?
Exactly. Tried to swear that only day earlier, huh? Or am I mistaken?
Not exactly. Given that I was actually there at the time, it's hard to refute that. I've never actually seen the real thing. I can't wait to have a closer look at it. Oh yes! Oh yes, of course. Mr. Sholmes did use his caramel bars to make a copy of the disc, didn't he? And then ordered every type of music box he could find from across Europe. We still don't know what tune it plays though, do we? But I'd love to see how the original compares to Hurley's copy. McGilded's disc. Could it be a clue somehow? Perhaps we should examine it in more detail, and we are going to do that right away. I mean, we already saw this here, so we can... For Mr. McGilded. That's the man you defended in court a couple of months ago, isn't it, Bruno? Yes, or rather mistakenly defended. I wonder what his name is doing on the back of this disc. That's a question I'd love to know the answer to myself. Okay, so we already had a look at this. Let's see the blood splatter. Oh, Bruno, look! This is blood! Yes, you're right. Just a small smear, but definitely blood. Actually, I feel as though I might have noticed that before. Oh, then it's my time to shine again. I thought I'd be waiting forever. Alright, hold still with that disc, Bruno. Can we get this done quickly, Iris? In a flash! Oh, a lovely bright shade again. Wait, that color. What is it? It's just that green, it's not the first time we've seen that color, is it? That is true. That is Herlock's blood then. That is weird. Nothing else of interest here. Green when analyzed. And if we take a look at the blood sample portfolio, this is the same blood type. Huh. Then this must be Hurley's blood. That's weird. Okay, so we analyzed. As only 2 bullets were found at the scene, I would say the whole case is done and dusted. Yeah, let's press her. It's the number of bullets that has you convinced. Only 2 bullets were fired, and the 2 guns that fired them have been examined by the police. When the parlor maid asked me how many are invited for dinner, I always tell her to count the table settings. Well, that's logical, I suppose. Although... Yes? Sometimes after dining, crockery does go missing. 1 or 2 guests rather like the fine china. Does your employer dine with thieves? So I suppose. If there was another bullet somewhere, of which we are unaware, I'd have to reconsider my position. A 3rd bullet somewhere on the scene, could that be possible? I can't prove it. I don't think we can prove it, that there was another one. So in the blood sample portfolio, we do have the disc, but we don't have anything matching right now. The bullet in Mr. Windybank, in Mr. Windybank's calls, is the first one. And we have this 2nd bullet. So we don't have a 3rd bullet right now. Which means we can't prove it. Oh, okay, I misclicked. Allow me to show you then the 3rd bullet. Let's just do that then. I don't suppose this would pass as the 3rd bullet. It passes for a bullet as much as you pass for a lawyer, my learned friend. Coming from you, I'm going to take that as meaning not much. In no way does it resemble a bullet, if that helps your understanding of my last remark. Counsel, at the very least, I would expect the evidence you present to be of the correct form. It's been a long day. Let's actually try to find this 3rd bullet before we attempt that again, Runa. Yeah, we don't have it right now. That's the issue. That misclick, but it's fine. We still have 4 attempts. Still have 4 further attempts.
You don't need a stereoscope to see the truth here. Every which way you look at it, it was the pickpocket.
Okay, let's press him. So if I've understood correctly, you need 2 pictures. A left eye one and a slightly different right eye one.
Exactly. Then you can see the scene in 3 dimensions, like this.
So if we have 2 bullets, I don't suppose you can see anything useful with them.
I think you'll find that no matter how much you squint, the truth of a situation always looks the same here. The only person who could have shot the victim is that girl in the dark.
How can you be so sure of that?
Think about it. The Skalkin brothers shot the great detective, didn't they?
Yes, that's been mentioned once or twice.
Well then, surely it's coming into focus now, isn't it?
This is a waste of time. I'm not going to change this man's mind anytime soon.
I never imagined that simple operation would cause me such grief.
Hold it! Would you please stop muttering about things that have nothing to do with this trial, sir? The The defendant's life is on the line here.
Well, the thing is, I couldn't really say that it's nothing to do with this trial, to be honest.
Huh?
I mean, there's no question that the man was shot, but the bullet had simply vanished from his stomach. It's quite inexplicable, don't you think?
I almost don't want to ask, but the surgery you've been muttering about all this time. You were operating on...
What was the fellow's name now? Herlich? No, Herloch? No, Herlock?
Herlock Sholmes by any chance?
Yes, good lord! It was that Herlock fella.
What? You're the surgeon that operated on Mr. Sholmes?
That's right, using the very latest anesthesia techniques, I might add. It was a fairly major OP, I can tell you.
This is crazy.
Let me see, the fellow was brought in not long after midnight, if I remember correctly. They said he'd been shot by some criminal or other, so I opened him up like a shot. But the funny thing is, I went over his inside with a fine-tooth comb and couldn't find the bullet anywhere. So I'm afraid I had to throw up my hands and just stitch the fellow back up.
I hate to state the obvious, but
Yes?
surely that's because the bullet's still at the scene of the shooting. Counsel for the defense is correct. As is clearly shown in this photographic print, the bullet that the Skulking brothers fired at Mr. Sholmes hit him in the stomach region, then exited his body and lodged into the shop wall where the calendar was hanging by the door. I think you'll find it's really quite simple if you just consider the problem three-dimensionally.
Oh, who do you think I am, son?
Well, juror number 4 is about the best I can do.
As soon as I saw the wound to the man's stomach, I flipped him over.
Like a pancake? Are you saying that you checked his back?
Of course I did, and there wasn't a trace of injury. No sign that the bullet had left the body at all.
What?
That's the point. The only logical conclusion was that the bullet was still somewhere in the man's innards. Which is exactly why I said about slicing him up. And I'm still none the wiser even now. How many times do I have to say it? Can somebody please explain how it happened? Can somebody please solve the mystery?
It's almost as much of a mystery as how this jury was put together.
The mystery of where that bullet ended up is infuriating. Where's an expert when you need one?
Let's press it again then. Mr. Sholmes' surgeon is on the jury. I've experienced some coincidences recently, but this is ridiculous.
I'm as surprised as anyone.
But there's no question that Mr. Sholmes was shot.
Well, that's what the police told me when they brought him in.
How bad were his injuries, Doctor?
He was in a bad way. He'd lost a huge amount of blood, you know. And I suspect he was shot at quite a close range, too. Because his skin was badly burnt around the point of entry.
Burnt?
As I said, if I flipped the fellow over and examined his back, but there was no sign of an exit wound. Which is why I thought I'd better locate the lug and pop it out.
And yet you say you found no bullet inside the patient?
Well, I wouldn't have done, would I? Because it's in the wall of the pawnbrokers. But how did it get there? I need someone to solve this mystery before it drives me to insanity. If only there was some expert in ballistic who could help. Even if he looked extremely untrustworthy.
Okay. So we have a disappearing bullet on our hands. Okay, so we know that these guys have to be pitted against each other. The accused attempted a theft of previous day. Can see him for a busy day ahead. Hold it! What do you mean you're in for a busy day? Forgot to say. Stop. Excuse me. Stop. I'm a communications officer. Stop. A communications officer? Does that have something to do with sending telegrams? Everything from personal messages written by members of the public to the latest news in the capital. I convert all the messages into Morse code and type it out on the entire world electronically. To the entire world? Thousands of miles of cable under the sea. Stop. Worldwide communication network. Stop. Information transmitted to and from all corners of the globe. Stop. Ah, yes. She was getting equally worked up about radio waves or the likes before, wasn't she? I specialize in communication information from government departments and newspaper offices. I see. I'm sure I shall have to write the newspaper reports of today's guilty verdict later. So no sleep for me tonight, I imagine. Let's just finish the trial first, shall we? Alright.
I am ballistics expert. I have seen many shootings. There is nothing I do not know about guns.
Hold it! I thought you were just a tourist.
Good day. I am visiting London for sightseeing. I would like to take bus to Crystal Tower, please.
There's no way he's just a visiting tourist. So you're a ballistics expert. Who knew?
I have much experience with guns.
Ah,
I have lived through many, how do you say, extreme, violent baths of, blood of,
extreme violent bloodbaths, perhaps?
those extreme violent bloodbaths. English is very difficult tongue.
Considering the sort of people you associated with, I'm surprised you still have a tongue.
Anyway, if you have questions about bullets and guns, you ask me. There is nothing I do not know, no mystery I cannot solve.
He's very confident in his knowledge of guns, that's for sure.
But, if possible, please, only in Russian language.
He's not very confident in his knowledge of English, though, is he? No, still, we should bear it in mind. He's our man if there's a mystery about guns or bullets. When Zeeks has managed to convince everyone, when you have eliminated the impossible, he said, but he hasn't. If we're going to fight back, we need more material, and we have to fight back. We have to turn this trial around again. That is true. So we are going to... Oh, no, that doesn't work like that, unfortunately. We have to go to juror number 4. And we have to pit him against him, so let's go. Those two statements clearly contradict the idea that all I do is pit jurors against each other.
Ooh, a ballistics expert?
Pitting. P-I-T-T.
On the night in question, Mr. Sholmes was shot by one of the Skulking brothers. But since there was no sign of an exit wound on his back, we must assume the bullet didn't pass through him. However, no bullet was found lodged in Mr. Sholmes' body either. Furthermore, a bullet was found lodged in the wall of the shop where Mr. Sholmes was shot. Juror number 6.
Hello, my name is Violin. Pleased to meet you.
This apparent contradiction in the fact that it's so clearly troubling juror number 4. Are you able to explain the mystery?
I have seen very similar situation in Motherland. It was night, there was blizzard. I was running away long mountain road in freezing cold.
Golly!
The snow was piling high on both sides of road. It was very narrow and dangerous. My pursuers had hunting rifles, and they were on dog sleds.
Mental note, don't ask too many questions.
I was shot from behind and I fell down in snow. And this situation was very similar to what I hear today from doctor. They could not find bullet in my body and no sign of, how do you say, exit wound.
Then where did the bullet go?
Bullet never hit me.
Well, if it never hit you, why did you fall down?
Bullet hit frozen wall of ice very close to my side.
What?
One small piece, very sharp, broke away from lump of ice and pierced my body. It made deep wound that looks just like bullet wound.
Good gracious!
Of course, piece of ice quickly melted inside me, and that is solution to mystery of disappearing bullet.
But that doesn't answer the question at all. The shooting happened in a pawnbroker's shop. Not some snowy mountain road in another country.
Just an idea, but we might not be looking at exactly the same scenario here. Bruno, where exactly was Hurley shot again? Well, according to the report, in his stomach, sort of around this area, I think. Well, that's precisely why he always wears a little pouch on his belt. A pouch? Actually, I might have noticed something like that. Yes, a pouch. It's where he keeps the 3 glass vials of very dangerous chemicals that he uses in his investigations. What? Really? Doctor, where's the pouch Mr. Sholmes was wearing?
Well, the fellow had nothing like that on his person when he arrived at the hospital, as far as I remember.
If I may. Lord Van Zieks? While I realize it is forbidden for the prosecution to interject during a summation examination, I should inform the defense that I have the pouch in question in the antechamber outside the courtroom. Sorry? As I understand it, when the police arrived on the scene and found Mr. Sholmes injured, they removed the pouch in order to assess the wound.
Ah, thank goodness! I thought I was getting forgetful for a moment.
Since then, it hasn't been in my safekeeping along with all other evidence relating to the case. I can personally vouch for the fact that it has not been touched since the incident occurred. Very well. While extremely unconventional during summation examination, I must demand the prosecution presents the item in question with all speed. Bring forth Mr. Herlock Sholmes' pouch. I see. So this is the pouch worn by Mr. Sholmes on the night in question, is it? Look at that! One of the files is broken and the leather around it is scorched black. It's almost as if the file exploded. Exploded? So, that night, the bullet from the Skulking Brothers' gun struck Mr. Sholmes' pouch.
And it was the glass vial exploding that caused the fellow's injury.
This bullet did not penetrate victim, but was deflected into wall of shop. A delightfully complex aroma. Well, it would appear one mystery has been solved at least. Though it has no bearing on the truth of this case. The bungling and burgling brothers shot the detective, and the accused shot the pawnbroker. The pertinent facts of the case remain unaltered.
But at least the mystery is solved. I can sleep easy tonight. Thank you, young man.
Thank you very much. Glad I could help. Due to its bearing to the conundrum just solved, the court will sequester the scruffy pouch as evidence. Hurley's pouch isn't scruffy. Sholmes' pouch has been entered into the court record. The pouch Mr. Sholmes was wearing around the waist at the time of the shooting. One of the glass vials is smashed and there are scorch marks around it. Now the summation examination. It would appear the defense is somewhat struggling to alter opinion, huh? Please, my lord, a little more time. After all, that's a new piece of evidence. It could be a valuable clue, and you can't afford to overlook anything here, Rinowski. There's still a way to turn this around, somehow. I'm sure of it. Yeah, there must be. So, let's have a look at the court record and have a look at the pouch. Alright, so what do we find here? This file has been smashed to pieces. Presumably, this is where the bullet struck. As soon as the bullet hit the chemical in the file, there would have been a really big explosion. A big explosion? Well, Harley's potions and chemicals are amazingly useful for the investigation work he does, but they're also quite tricky to handle. Safely, at least. They're very dangerous. Oh. I'm sure that when this fire broke, the chemical inside would have ignited. Note to self, always walk on the right-hand side of Sholmes in future. The left is the danger zone. Alright, so what about this? The glass vials are full of Harley's homemade potions. Homemade? Yes, like fingerprint powders to show up where people have touched things. And scent amplifying solutions to intensify a smell lingering on an object.
That's amazing. They're all very easy to use. There's just one thing that you have to be careful of. They're all very flammable. Mr. Sholmes is a walking bomb. Either he's passionate about finding out the truth or just oblivious to the dangers. Okay, so this is the same then? Yeah. So we're gonna skip that then. What else is there? So this seems like an interesting part of the potion, of the pouch. It's really scorched badly just there. Oh, the strap is broken, look! This must be where the bullet hit then. Let me see. Aha! Looks like we found the bullet. Oh look, there's a hole here at the back. Doesn't look much like a bullet hole, but clearly something's ripped through the leather wire with great force. Something must have pierced it somehow to have left this hole behind. Yes, it looks that way. Mr. Sholmes and his pouch both took a beating, didn't they? Yes, they did. Alright, so they did. Nothing else of interest here in the front. Nothing else here. But this bullet is very interesting for us. What the? Iris, look! Behind where the broken fire was, do you see it? Oh, that's the Skulking Brothers bullet! What a stroke of luck that it hit this pouch. This is an amazing discovery. What this means is, there were 3 bullets fired at Windybanks that night. They found exactly what the juror was talking about. The 3rd bullet. It's time to press that jury again, I think. The 3rd bullet has been entered in the court record. Alright, so let's just examine that bullet straight away, because there might be something of interest here. This is the bullet that was fired from the Skulking Brothers gun on the night of the incident. Yes, so it turns out it never actually entered Hurley's body at all. Thanks to the thick leather of the pouch he was wearing, it saved him. Oh, Hurley's always lucky like that. Well, considering what he had to go through in hospital, I wonder how lucky he really was. Oh dear, poor Hurley. Oh yes, poor Hurley, but there's also blood here. But no, it's just powder or whatever. Alright. So it was this juror, right? Must have been this one. So we're gonna skip past the dialogue because we already read it. Yeah, sure. Ah, okay, it wasn't him, it was her, I guess. Yeah, exactly. Sorry guys, I forgot. Sometimes I'm just a scatterbrain. I can prove it. Alright, so here is the bullet, dear madam.
Take that!
Here it is. We discovered it just now. Yes, on the night in question in Windybank's pawnbrokery, another bullet was fired.
Hold it!
What is this new trickery in Nipponese, conjurer? Where did you find that bullet? It was lodged inside Mr. Sholmes' pouch. What? Sorry? This pouch was removed from around Mr. Sholmes' waist before he was taken to hospital, and since then it has been touched by no one. Do you mean to say the shot fired by the Skulking Brothers that night? Yes, as your lordship has surmised, it hit his pouch. But that makes no sense whatsoever. We already know the whereabouts of the bullet fired at Mr. Sholmes. It's clearly visible on the photographic print. Ugh! 2 guns from the scene have already been submitted into the court record as evidence. Yes, that of Mr. Windybank and that belonging to the Skulking Brothers. An examination of both guns revealed that only a single bullet had been fired from each. Oh! But that must mean... That's right. We now know that on the night in question 3 bullets were fired. However, only 2 bullets were fired from the guns recovered from the crime scene, and until that controvertible inconsistency is somehow explained, we cannot and must not pass judgment. Order!
While the summation examination remains incomplete, the court has been presented with new facts. Facts that would appear to shake the very foundations upon which the case against the defendant has been built. As is my prerogative in this situation, I hereby temporarily suspend the summation examination. By Jupiter! What? Bailiff, bring the witnesses back to the stand at once. Well, things took a turn here. Witnesses? Gunner! Were you listening to the proceedings while the defense carried out the summation examination?
We was, Governor, we was.
Perhaps we can dispense with the tedious preamble. Simply answer this one question. A third bullet has been identified at the scene of the crime. What do you make of that?
Make of it, Gov. I don't make nothing I can help it out.
Is it one of yours?
Grumbling, Gov, grumbling, not a chance.
In that case, did you have any accomplice?
What? Never! The Skulking Brothers work alone! It's just the two of us, that's our trademark!
How soon we forget poor Sulky. Only 2 of the bullets from the crime scene originated from the firearms we have in evidence. The third bullet was fired from another gun. Where is it?
Lummy, that's an scratcher.
Counsel for the defense. Yes? I should like to hear your thoughts regarding these new developments. The third bullet and the mysterious missing firearm, from whence it came. Thinking back over all the testimony we've heard and all the evidence we've seen, I think I'm starting to form a picture of what really happened that night. My lord, I think it's clear what this third bullet tells us about the Skulking Brothers. They had a secret accomplice. I guess. On that night at Winniebank's pawnbrokery, the brothers must have been working with a third man. The witnesses are clearly doing their best to cover up the existence of this accomplice. But the evidence all points to the fact that there was someone else present, someone carrying a gun.
Objection!
An accomplice, you say? Pigs will. These protracted proceedings have already forced us to do 2 summation examinations. Yet in all that time, there has been not a murmur of a third man. If this apparently wraith-like being exists, the court must be shown hard evidence. Without it, this fantasy will be crushed. The prosecution demands answer on 2 counts. Firstly, proof, evidence that this accomplice was ever at the scene of the crime. And secondly, the identity of this spurious character. The Skulkings are lying, I know that. But how can I ascertain the identity of the person they're hiding? Well, counsel, I'm supposed to prove the existence of this accomplice and reveal the person's identity even. In response to the prosecution's demands, my lord, the defense is ready to present answers because, guys, at least I'm going to do that in the next episode, because this pouch, clearly states that this is green blood. So this blood here is green due to Iris's shooting. And this is green too. That means that actually Agate Benedict is the one we're looking for. I'm pretty sure about that, and I'm going to present that with the next episode, because we have breached the half-hour mark quite significantly, actually. So see you on the next episode of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. See you there.